Ms. Lorian Walker, and I'm from a small town in South Mississippi, and my husband and I, Chad, have 3 children, 3 of the world's greatest children, which I'm sure we all feel that way, and Sadie is our oldest one. And when Snyder Therapy called and asked if we would share our testimony with you, we were kind of honored because that's been our prayer through all of Sadie's journey, is that we would be able to bless other people with our story. I guess ignorance with us raising children, we thought educating our children would be the easiest part because we both have master's degrees in education and we're both public school teachers. So education was going to be the easy side. Raising them would probably be the harder part. When Sadie started kindergarten, we started noticing some issues. We knew as her mom and daddy, just knowing our children, something was not right, and we kept telling our teachers and everything, and we knew something wasn't right. And so I brought some, where we first noticed the problem was in the stack of cards at home at night. Her daddy is a coach, and so it was me at home with 3 small children, and we were doing these flashcards right here, these same flashcards that her sister just finished doing, but it was this card right here that we were fighting over every night. Sadie would look at it, and I would cover up the beginning, and she would say a B, and she could tell me the end was a K, and I would show her the word, and she'd say white. And we would just go round and round. Well, obviously, Sadie and I look a lot alike, and we have a lot of the same personality, and so I was like, she's just headstrong, she's stubborn, she's like her mom, she's, our personality conflict. So then Daddy would come in off the ball field, and we were time out, we were spanking, we were doing everything, thinking she was just being hard-headed, and so we didn't know, and we were doing everything we could, just fighting with her, with each other. Chad and I were mad at each other. We didn't know. We were in tears. We kept saying, what is wrong? Is something wrong with her? Are we doing something wrong? We were just crying at night. Chad, what's going on? Something's not right. Sadie would go to the back of the house and play, and we'd call her, Sadie, come here, Sadie, and she would not respond. Made it through kindergarten fine. We kept saying something's not right, talking to the kindergarten teacher, just give it time, it's probably maturation, just give it time, it's maturation. So we get to first grade, didn't say anything to the first grade teacher because we wanted an unbiased opinion. Get through first grade, same thing, the same characteristics keep coming up. Flashcards, Sadie can play, not ever hear a word we're saying, and we're like spanking, grounding, punishing because she doesn't respond to us. And I'm like, I know you can hear me. I laugh and chuckle because it's the same things he's saying and the same thing you guys. I'm looking at you in the face. Do you not hear what I just said to you? All those characteristics, that's what's going on. Sadie can fall off a bicycle and scrape her knee and bounce right back up and it not hurt Sadie. And that just blew our mind. Well, my mother is also a special ed teacher, but my mom is very gifted in special ed, but I didn't really want her opinion yet just because she's my mom. So finally, about midway through first grade, we get her progress report, and we went into panic mode. So we had to know something. So I called my mom and sat down and said, okay, here's what's going on. And my mother had taught a student who had actually been through Snyder Therapy, and she lived in Starkville, which is right outside Columbus, and she said, let's just call. And so my answer was, what can it hurt? And so I called, and I thought I was just going to talk to a secretary or something, but I didn't. I talked to Mr. Randy myself, and I said, look, here's my child's characteristics. I don't know, but here it is. And he went through and he said, does she do this? Does she do that? And we had probably a 30-minute conversation on the phone, and it just doesn't make sense. You throw a softball to her, and she can hit it harder than most of the junior high softball players on the softball team. But so how can it be something with her eyes? And he said, because it's happening right in front of her. But all this is going on the outside. And it's like that, it just didn't register with me at the time. And so we loaded up, and we went to Birmingham at that time. And we walked into the office, still ignorant to everything, all of this. My mom and Sadie and I went during Thanksgiving break, and we went in, and I can remember sitting in the office and watching Sadie go through all the evaluations, and every single one of them, I just sat there and wept, not because I knew something was wrong, because we've known that the whole entire time, but because I knew we were in the right place. I knew something was not right, but I knew that we were in the right place to get the answers and the help that Sadie needed. So the next few weeks, we kind of set up what our plans were going to be. We needed to, because I do teach public schools, we needed to get, I could not miss as many days as I needed to get into the vision therapy, because it's 14 days of, is it 14 days? 12 days of the therapy. And so I needed to make it where I would not miss school, because I teach math and I'm a state tested subject area, so I didn't need to be out of my classroom that much. So by the grace of God, I was able to miss during Christmas break. And so I left right after Christmas. Sadie and I went to the office in Huntsville, and we stayed there and did the light therapy there. And on the 5th day while we were there, we were at the mall, and Sadie said, "Mom, can we go to the bookstore?" And she wanted to buy a book. And so I said, "Sure, we can go into the bookstore." And so she bought this little critter book. And so we've always had lots of books in our house. And so when we walked in and we bought this book, she did something that she's never been able to do before. We went back to the hotel, and she crawled into the bed and she picked it up. And for the first time, she opened up the book and she read the pages by herself. And I can just remember laying in the bed, and I didn't want to cry in front of her. And I know people are like, "That's not possible," but I'm telling you guys, it happened. I mean, we worked on some of the words, how to sound out a few of the words, but she sat there and she read through some of the pages for the first time, all by herself. And I can remember going back to the clinic and could not wait to tell her vision therapist there that we had never done anything like that. But we finished up there, and then we went back to Brookhaven, and we had to do light therapy at home by ourselves. And together, those are 30 days when we do the light therapy in Huntsville, and then we did the light therapy at home. And on our way back to have a follow-up visit in Birmingham, we go around the sharp curve in Jackson, and there is what you guys probably think are just small buildings, but to us they would be skyscrapers, because we don't have very big cities where we live. But Sadie went around a curve, and out of the corner she said, "Oh my gosh, look at those huge buildings." Well, we didn't give it much thought, and then a few days later I was telling all the staff at my school about Sadie saying that, and my secretary said, "Lorianne, you do realize your baby saw those buildings for the first time in her life." And all the ladies in my office just started crying, and we're like, it is truly the story of the blind man who couldn't see, and now they see. And so she started to see, and it just hit us that she truly saw these buildings for the first time. And they're buildings that she's passed, hundreds of times, because it's the only way we can leave our town is to go by these buildings. So we traveled for, I think it took us about a year and a half to finish up her entire therapy, because we live 3.5 hours from the closest therapy center. So we travel 3.5 hours at least once a week to therapy, if not twice a week. So it took us longer than it does the typical patient, but our distance kind of played a factor in there. But Sadie loved her therapist. You saw him in the picture. He has become a very close friend of ours, as all the people within the Snyder therapies. She loves therapy. It does require a lot of work from us, but the whole entire family is very involved in it. We would do the therapy at home. Now Sadie loves it. Her sister calls it therapy, and so she does therapy with us too. The whole entire family takes part of it. We set up strings across the house and the den. Everybody takes part in it. I do believe that I would be a great candidate for vision therapy, because I don't see a lot of the things that Sadie sees, and we believe that probably the whole family probably needs to be candidates. But I think Sadie wants to tell a little bit. You've changed your mind. Come on, you can do it. It's not a lot of people. Here, I'll stand right here. Okay, well, tell them, what did you think about therapy?
It was fun.
Tell them, why was it fun?
Because there's activities.
What type of activities?
Fun activities.
So tell them what the activities were like.
Fun.
But what kind of fun? Was it like homework, or what did you and Dr. Coleman or Mr. Coleman do? What did y'all do back there in the clinic?
Work.
What kind of work? What about, tell them about the goggles.
We had to look at him.
And you put them on, and what did you throw at him?
A ball.
A ball, and there was, what did you jump on?
Trampoline.
Mm-hmm. What else? How does therapy make you feel?
Happy.
Happy. She looked forward to going. Every day when we'd go, she would ask us to do a therapy day. She enjoys going. We were sad when we graduated from therapy. More than anything, it gave her a sense of self-confidence and pride, and we will forever be grateful and in debt to Snyder Therapy for what it did for her self-confidence and for what it's done for our family, for Sadie. I don't know. There's not words to explain as a mom when you watch your child struggle, and for her to know she's different from her peers, but to have something, the resource that has changed her life. Now Sadie is an A and B honor roll student, where she was a struggling student. She's A and B. She's won the reading contest she won reading certificates in our district. She's competing on the state level for reading. The reading boards and reading awards. She does great things, so all because of Snyder Therapy. One thing I did tell the Columbus office that I wanted to share with you, encouraging, we have learned that when we left the Snyder Clinic and got Sadie's kind of diagnosis, is that I remember getting in the car and the song Laura's story, Blessings and Raindrops, came on the radio, and I can just remember crying on the way home, just thinking, oh, how overwhelming it is that we just had a new son, and it's just, I don't know how we're going to do this, driving back and forth, and we're so far away from home, and just thinking, I don't know how we're going to handle all this. But in the same thing, although the same exact thing that has been a challenge for Sadie has also been a blessing, because although we didn't see as well, and we have a hard time struggling, it's also been a blessing, because where God, the same thing that has been a stumbling block has also been a blessing, because she's got her own support team and her own fan club, and God's going to use those same things to bless her and to bless every child. And so those are some of her same strengths. So I just encourage each one of you to, if you think there's something, follow through with it and go and research, because it's a great benefit and a great resource for your child out there.